Imagine how heartwarming it is when you finally finish a game, sit back, and then realize what a masterpiece it was. Imagine the stories that stay with you even after years. Now, that's the kind of stories that are mentioned in this list. I have made a list of the 13 best story games that you must play. There are also some bonus games at the end. Before we look at the first game, please click that subscribe button. Final Fantasy VII. This is my favorite pick when it comes to best Final Fantasy games. We can all admit that every time someone talks about Final Fantasy, Cloud and Tifa are the characters that come to our mind, maybe Noctis as well. The 7th part took the series to the next level. It gave the Final Fantasy series huge popularity. Also, the remake gave us nostalgia, and even some new fans used it as an entry into the series. Final Fantasy VII is one of the most iconic games. We are not going to dive too deep into various aspects such as graphics, combat, gameplay, and visuals. Instead, we will talk about how awesome the storyline is. I won't give you any spoilers, but this is the most widely known story. Everyone knows about Cloud and Sapphira. The developers did a great job dividing the remake into 2 parts. This made me patiently wait for the second part, as I knew Sephiroth will make his entry and how the story is going to be. If you are someone who is tired of seeing the popularity of series or feel lost whenever someone mentions Final Fantasy, then this will be a great time, as we have a remake that looks amazing on consoles and even on PC. Both Final Fantasy VII and X are the best choices to get into the series. Just these 2 will be more than enough to know what the series is about, because for some players it'll be hard to play the older games as they have outdated graphics or textures. The 7th part has perfect pacing and the characters are amazing. You feel like you share a bond and are on a journey with your best buddies. The dialogue and cutscenes enhance the story's charm. Also, everything looks so great in Remake, as the characters and visuals are refined, resulting in giving an ultimate story experience.
The Shinra Electric Power Company isn't the real enemy. I promise you, there's a much bigger threat.
Titanfall 2. It's been a while since I have talked about this game on the channel. Titanfall 2 is the best surprise you can ever hope from a shooting game. When I first started the game, I never knew there would be so many emotions and depth to the story. I thought it'll be another shooting game with good enough story, but I was literally shocked and touched. The bond you see between the characters is full of emotions. It's also a bit sad, but I'm sure you are going to love it. Titanfall 2 is quite an underrated game, and not many players know about it, so if you are in a mood for some underrated story experience, then this will be your best choice. BT, the Titan you partner with, becomes more than just a big robot. You actually start to care about him, which I didn't expect going in. Honestly, this is everything you need to know about the storyline without any spoilers. Unlike other shooting games, this time the story actually matters, and it's an essence of the game. Now, Titanfall is also amazing in other aspects. The moment you start playing, you feel how smooth the gameplay is, the movement, the shooting, the wall running, everything just clicks. It's like the game wants you to be as fast and fluid as possible, and once you get the hang of it, you're pulling off these crazy stunts that make you feel unstoppable. There are all sorts of different missions, and the multiplayer is where the game really shines. The mix of pilots and titans creates this dynamic, fast-paced combat that you won't find anywhere else. You can go from running along walls, gunning down enemies, to calling in your Titan and just wrecking the battlefield in seconds. Titanfall 2 never got the appreciation it deserves, and there aren't that many players in the multiplayer servers. It's not like what it used to be. However, I'm sure that you are going to love the game.
Protect the pilot.
Nier Automata. Even before I got the chance to play this game, I knew that it's going to be amazing. Nier is a series that is really close to my heart. The game takes you on this journey among androids and machines across a destroyed open world. When you first enter the game, you will be provided with a familiar nostalgic playstyle. Then the game will introduce you to a third-person perspective, and you will soon discover the side-scrolling playstyle. So there you have it. Nier Automata is a game that gives its players a chance to experience the game in various playstyles. Such amazing stuff keeps the game fresh and engaging. Now, I'm sure the sci-fi and open world fans will love the game. It's got a beautiful main character, kind of anime style hack and slash combat, some pretty good visuals in a post-apocalyptic world, and don't even get me started on the dialogues and voice acting. However, what really stands out is the storyline. It's sad, it's touching, it's full of emotion, something you can never expect from a post-apocalyptic environment. You share a journey with your partner and experience so many different things. To be honest, I'm sure that if the game was not so much anime style or set in a colorful world, it would surely have gotten more popularity. Though that's not the issue, as the current state of the game made it so captivating. Nier Automata is a great game and it doesn't need any changes. It probably won't be for everyone, but those who finish it will find it amazing.
We're soldiers.
The Last of Us 2.
But not at any cost.
Everyone knows about this game. Some of us probably even hate it for the ending it showed. Even I was one of those players who hoped for a better ending for Joel and Ellie, but that's not a reason to hate. I think the second part still delivered a nice finale to the series, although I'm not sure if they are going to continue it because Joel was really the essence of the series, or you could say the bond between Joel and Ellie was the true essence. I think that we all got so habitual of seeing the bond between the characters in the first part that we weren't ready for what's coming in the sequel. Honestly, I love the sequel. If we look closely, the writers did a great job, as part 2 is not just about the two main characters. It also offers other stuff and introduces more characters. Also, Abby's story was a nice addition. I believe the game showcases a lot more that we missed in the original. You can just play the game to continue the storyline and see how it ends. There's no need to think of anything. It's enough to purchase the game just for the sake of finishing the storyline. Although I'm sure that this will not be the case, as the game is loaded with great content and the gameplay is the finest. The graphics and visuals are also much better than the original. You could say that the sequel works upon the original and perfects everything. The new cast of characters, new environments, better gameplay, and the finale only things you need to know to get started playing the game. Control. Sci-fi and superpower fans assemble. Control is what you call being thrown in a mystery environment along with telekinesis powers to mess with the enemies. You basically play a character who is stuck in some sort of a government building where everything feels weird. It's like reality is continuously shifting around you, plus there is a mysterious entity. The game is packed with suspenseful and mysterious vibes. The addition of telekinesis powers provides a thrilling experience. You can throw stuff at enemies, blast them, throw them left and right in the air. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. If we talk about the storyline, then it's a mix of mystery, suspense, action, superpowers, and some sci-fi stuff. You piece together the storyline bit by bit through pieces of information you found in the form of recordings and notes. So it's got a bit of everything to keep you engaged for hours. I know that some of you will have a great time in combat, much less than solving the mystery and uncovering the story. There's just an awesome feeling you get once you know that you're super powerful and can mess around in the environment. The sense of thrill and excitement in the action combat is straight up awesome. Overall, Control is a great game, and 2024 will be a great time to experience it, as the new sequel will be released in the next 2 years. Life is Strange. Life is Strange is an episodic adventure game. It's slightly similar to games of the Telltale series. Your choices affect the outcome of the game and make subtle and huge changes throughout. You feel empathy for the characters in the world, and whilst handling mature themes such as depression, the game grips you to your seat. It is amazing, a masterpiece. The writers are on par with some of the best TV shows and films out there. It makes you question every choice you make, your own reality. As a player, you actually feel like you affect the relationships between the characters. The music and art design are unique and aesthetically pleasing, which is a nice change from the usual games I play. The voice acting's brilliant. Without spoiling anything, the twists in this game are just wow.
Every 20 years, you just zone.
No,
No, I saw.
Finally, I must end by saying how much I recommend this game. I've experienced nothing like it before. Please try this game. You won't regret it. I really love and recommend this game. The soundtrack is gorgeous. There are emotional and touching scenes with some surprisingly heavy topics and beautiful scenery throughout. All I'm trying to say is that the game is something different and will be a perfect choice if you are solely in a mood for some story experience. It tackles a lot of mature themes, but everything turns out to be great. You probably feel bored if this is your first time playing slow-paced, sort of dialogue-focused games, but please stay patient as I'm sure you will definitely love this game. Life is Strange is one of my favorite story games, and I can't wait for the third part. Also, check out the sequel if you have played the original.
Obviously, she was a good friend. I've got my power to protect you, right?
Resident Evil 4 Remake. I think that out of all the Resident Evil games, the fourth part has the best storyline. The second is basically you surviving against the tyrant. The seventh is more of a gory story. The eighth part can be a great pick as it's more up to date in terms of graphics and visuals. However, the fourth part still tops all of them. The remake also enhances everything. You have better textures, refined characters, smooth controls and camera movements, and the cutscenes look amazing. The developers did a great job. They kept the original's eerie environments and added a lot of new stuff. You could say that the remake perfectly balances everything. It doesn't take the originality, and it certainly stands out as the best possible remake. It showed the story in the best possible way. Ashley looks great, and she is more bearable this time around. Escort missions can be a pain, but the game balances it well enough that it doesn't get too frustrating. Leon is back and he looks more awesome. His one-liners are the best thing. The pacing is spot on with moments of intense action followed by quieter, creepier sections that build suspense. Remake makes it better to navigate, explore, search for Ashley, and defeat bosses. The areas look properly lit, the shadows are on point, there's enough contrast, and textures are refined in the best way possible. This great story of Leon and Ashley has never looked better. The experience is over the roof for OG fans and even for newcomers. Witcher 3. I was actually planning on going with Cyberpunk, but then I realized how I can forget the greatest RPG game. Witcher 3 is easily the best pick when it comes to the story. I mean, not just the storyline, the game's got everything such as amazing visuals, finest gameplay, different landscapes, best main character, stunning and detailed open world, and two best DLCs. Witcher 3 is a masterpiece. Even after a decade, we still can't get enough of it. My suggestion is to start playing with the second part before you get your hands on the third part. You will feel more connected to the storyline. It's a series that needs to be fully explored. In my opinion, story is one of the key aspects. Because of the storyline, the books got popular and people came to know about The Witcher. That's also the reason why we got such a great game. A mix of fantasy, monsters, kingdoms, and magic. Everything adds up nicely, resulting in a perfect game. This game is about more than just slaying beasts, it's a deeply personal journey of Geralt. Characters such as Yennefer, Triss, Ciri, Jaskier, they all add depth to the game and make it more engaging. It's like you are experiencing sub-stories of each of these characters along. Also, we can never forget about the side quests. That's where the game really shines. You can easily lose yourself doing all these side quests, killing beasts, getting rid of monsters, finding items, helping the NPCs, collecting materials. Witcher 3 is one of those games that you can spend over 100 hours and will still find something new. It's not a 10-hour story. Make sure to get ready to experience a full-on journey that will take you more than 100 hours.
Let me finish telling it.
The Wolf Among Us.
All right, everyone.
There are only a few Telltale games that a lot of players know about. This one is one of them along with Walking Dead and Batman. The Wolf Among Us is a pretty good game if you're in a mood for some mystery episodic adventure. It's got a different art style. You will feel as if you're playing a comic book game that came to life. The game also doesn't shy away from tackling some mature themes. You will uncover murders, solve mysteries, and visit some mature places. Wolf Among Us is set in a world where characters called Fable live among regular people people, you play as an awesome sheriff of Fabletown and are tasked with finding what's going on in your area. Throughout the story, you make a lot of decisions. It's intense because you feel the weight of every decision and you know it could come back to bite you later. Every decision or choice you make will shape the entire story. You feel like you're in control and everything happens because of your choices. It's a game that's not just about solving a mystery, but about the characters you meet and how your interactions with them shape the world around you. It's short, but it definitely leaves an impression. Low-key, I just want to say that before I got the chance to play this game, I always thought that it's about the Marvel character, the Wolverine. Overall, if you want to experience a short, underrated story in a comic book art style, then The Wolf Among Us will be your best choice. It can also be a great entry point to get into the Telltale game. Truly one of my favorite games, and a must-play for every story lover fan. Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake is a game solely for the fans of suspense and thrill. The game shows a pretty good storyline that is a mix between suspense and psychology. The moment I finished the remastered version, I couldn't wait for the sequel to continue the story. I admit the first hours can be slightly boring, but it's nothing compared to what's coming. The game keeps getting better over time. As someone who's played it, I can say it's like living through a psychological horror movie that's been masterfully crafted to keep you on the edge of your seat. The atmosphere is just off the charts, dark, suspenseful, and full of tension. The game makes you feel like you're constantly being watched or like something is just around the corner, waiting to jump out at you. It's got that classic Alan Wake vibe. The story is where Alan Wake 2 really shines. It's complex, layered, and keeps you guessing the whole time. You're not just playing a game, you're unraveling a mystery that pulls you deeper and deeper into its twisted narrative. And the way it ties into the first game while also being its own beast is just brilliant. I really loved seeing the places from the first game. It gave me a nostalgic feeling. Also, honorable mention goes to the game's graphics and visuals. They feel so real, as if a ghost or monster is sitting in your room's corner. The lighting, shadows, and overall design create this eerie, immersive world that you can't help but get lost in, even if it's terrifying. And what if you combine everything with a haunting soundtrack that perfectly complements the game's vibe?
There's something I'm forgetting. Something important.
Heavy Rain.
You have 5 minutes to cut off the last section.
It is one of those games that pulls you in with its intense, emotionally charged story. The game is like an interactive drama where every choice you make can change the outcome, so it feels like you're really shaping the narrative. You play as a father whose son gets kidnapped by the origami killer, and you'll go through some heart-wrenching trials to save him. The origami person is basically the main enemy you need to find, as he kidnaps children and drowns them. There are also other characters, and they are all somewhat related. The main enemy leaves an origami at the crime scene, so it's your job to piece together everything and finish the game. What makes the game stand out is the way it blends cinematic storytelling with gameplay. You're not just passively watching, you're making decisions in the heat of the moment that could lead to very different outcomes.
Case of the origami killer.
I'm Madison Page, I'm a journalist.
The tension is real because characters can die and their deaths are permanent, so there's a constant sense of urgency. It's literally a genre-specific game and definitely not for everyone. If you are in a mood for some different kind of story experience, then you're in the right place. The game does a fantastic job of building suspense and making you feel the weight of every choice. It's dark and emotionally draining in the best way. By the end, you're left with a story that feels personal, like it was your journey, your choices that led to the final outcome. Also, I'm sure you're gonna love the visuals. It's certainly not your usual jam, but it'd be a nice change of pace and to play something different. Truly an underrated game that still has its charm.
Are you the killer, Ethan?
The killer is walking around free as we speak.
Plague Tale: Innocence.
We have to hide, Amicia!
Before we start, know this, that there's also a sequel that continues the storyline, so when you're done with this game, make sure to play the sequel. It's pretty great and somewhat better. Plague Tale is a series that came to us with a surprise. It gave us one of the best story experiences in a perfectly slow-paced narrative. Also, the linear gameplay makes you feel every moment. You can't rush through it and you don't even have any superpowers. The game is as realistic as possible. You can only use the environment rocks and your slingshot to get through this tough world full of crazy enemies and rats. I don't know what the developers were thinking. Who knew that such type of concept can be possible? I mean, come on, a horde of starving rats is just awesome and terrifying to see. You will navigate this journey along with your kid brother who's got some mysterious illness. The bond you experience is extremely heartfelt. Throughout this journey, both brother and sister, Amisha and Hugo, help each other out in various ways. It's such an emotional journey, and to see each of them grow side by side is the best thing. You can never hate this game if you're looking for the best story game. It's definitely for the players who are a fan of action combat or fast-paced gameplay. Plague Tale is most suitable for those who can stay patient and experience the narrative. Also, the sequel titled as Requiem adds 5 stars to the series. It's certainly better and adds some new things. Before I reveal my final pick, here are some honorable mentions. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. This one is quite a different adventure. As the name states, it's a story about two sons saving their dying father. From the moment you start the game, it really pulls you in with its environment and art styles. The story is simple yet incredibly emotional. The boys must travel across dangerous lands to find a special tree that holds the cure for their father's illness. What really stands out in this game is the way it tells the story through gameplay. You control both brothers at the same time. Both brothers have different advantages which will be helpful in the journey. Without giving too much away, the ending is one of those moments in gaming that just sticks with you. What remains of Edith Finch?
But as it is, I think the best.
The game is a mix of horror, suspense, and mystery. You play as Edith Finch, and the entire game is based on exploration or discovery. You explore your family's home and find stories of the family members, each with their own unique and tragic tale. It's like a collection of short stories, each one told in a different style and gameplay mechanics. Some parts are dark and others are downright heartbreaking. It's like diving into the memories of each Finch family member, experiencing their lives and their last moments. The game doesn't shy away from tough themes, but it handles them in a way that feels almost poetic. Cyberpunk 2077. The only reason I'm mentioning this game is because I know that some of you will surely comment that I forgot Cyberpunk. Not gonna lie, Cyberpunk is surely great, but I have mentioned this game several times that it's time I should focus more on some lesser known games. Therefore, just for now, I just want to say that if you're missing out on this game or having second thoughts, then this is your time to start playing. Cyberpunk is nothing like when it was first released. Every bug or glitch has been fixed. There's also a lot of new content. It's a completely changed game in 2024. Story is the best thing as it quickly shifts from simply earning a lot of money to life-threatening situations. Telltale: The Walking Dead. This game will be a great choice, along with The Wolf Among Us, to get into something different. Both of these games have a different art style than your usual games like Witcher, Red Dead, Sekiro. Walking Dead is such a great series and probably one of the most known zombie series. The game is sort of underrated as not many people know about it. However, Telltale games are quite fun and they certainly tackles different issues than just basic action. There's a lot of stuff going on that will always keep you on your toes and will make you feel engaged. Red Dead Redemption 2.
You coming, buddy?
I know that this is a bit of cliche now. Red Dead has been mentioned so many times. Don't get me wrong, I really love the game, and I like the fact that it gets mentioned in various top 10 lists. However, I know that some of you will say that you want to know about some other best story games, but we can at least give one spot to the greatest creation of Rockstar. The developers nailed everything in this game. It was worth to wait to experience such a masterpiece. Red Dead is a game that has everything in it. One of the best storylines, great cast of characters, interactive open world, a lot of cool details, and the best graphics or visuals. This is surely one of those games that will be played for another decade.
This world has
as its consolation.
You experience the Wild West in a great way, see the ending of the cowboy era, how the gangs disbanded, how much bond there was between the characters, and how great of a character Arthur actually is. I'm sure all of you have cried in the final moments. It was such a beautiful and heartwarming view. The ending hits hard because it's a reminder of the consequences of the life Arthur and the gang chose, and the price they all have to pay. It's not just a game ending, it feels like a farewell to a character who's been through so much. The final ride with that haunting soundtrack playing just amplifies all those emotions. Just by talking about it, I feel like listening to the song again. It's one of those endings that makes you sit back and think about the journey, the choices you made, and the story that unfolded. Alright, this ends our list of the 13 best story games that you can play right now. All these games contain some amazing stories, each with their own uniqueness. Some shows sadness, some shows action, some games show fantasy, while others show heartwarming journeys. I'm sure that you will have an all-out blast completing all these games. Some of the titles will even take more than 100 hours to complete, while some will only take less than 10 hours. Anyways, if you have made it this far, then please subscribe as I'm close to reaching 20,000 subscribers, and join my Discord for helpful gaming content.